So how are you? How is radio? How is everything?
Oh, how is everything? Everything is good. Radio is busy, happening. Lots to talk about. It's a busy world in news.
Yes, it is. I read that you do BBC Radio. It's current affairs stuff, isn't it? Or am I mistaken?
It's news. So I'm on every day at 10 o'clock. Well, not every day, but 3 days a week normally, at 10 o'clock at night. And it's lots of politics, world affairs, pretty much anything. Lots of Donald Trump at the moment, as you can imagine. And so last night we were looking at the Brexit vote.
Oh, wow.
And we did a big discussion on has the idea of representative democracy been undermined or diminished by the referendum, and the fact that MPs who supported Remain felt they had to vote for triggering an Article 50, which was quite good. And we had two kind of amazing politics professors who disagreed largely on the effects of this on the idea of representative democracy. So if anybody's studying politics, they'll know what I'm banging on about. But anyway, it was all rather good.
Oh wow, right. It sounds like a great question.
Sounds very interesting, honestly.
I would rather probably be doing a hip hop show, actually.
Oh well. What was your show about when you were on Raw?
So it was called W963 in those days, and this is deep in the mists of time, virtually in sort of prehistoric times. We were at the top of the Union Building, and we had a fantastic view across campus to the Arts Centre and beyond. I know it all looks quite different now. But anyway, my show, I used to do two shows. We used to do Weekday Warwick, which was a news programme. There you are. It began early and carried on forever, which we used to do, I think, at 6 o'clock every evening. That was an hour. And then I also used to do a late night show. I can't remember what time that went out. It went out quite late, like at 11 or 12. And that was called, I don't know what it was called actually, but it was just the late shift, I think. And I used to have something that was famously called the Mega Mellow Spot, where I played like 3 or 4 tracks that were, mellow and slow and kind of, you can imagine. Anyway, it was great. I used to love it. And a lot of the people that I hung out with then are still my friends. So
really? That's so good.
Yeah, definitely a formative experience. So I thorouhly recommend getting involved in stuff like student radio.
So did you go straight from student radio to BBC, or was that like a transition kind of thing?
No, I did. I was very lucky. In those days there were jobs, which I suspect there aren't anymore. I got a job as a trainee. I worked in Birmingham actually for quite a long time. And I worked as a researcher in Radio 4 Docs. I became a Midlands production trainee. So I worked in radio and TV. Right. And then eventually got a job on the Today programme and came back to London and had sort of been knocking about this neck of the woods forever.
Because I know...
Sorry, I'm used to asking the questions. You can tell, can't you? Were you guys doing any of the overnight stuff last night?
No, but the team that were I'm so proud of them because they've raised so much money already. But a lot of them look like they're so exhausted. But we're 24 hours in and we've raised basically nearly all of it.
95%
we're on like 95%. It's like so
I think
amazing.
We want to raise the cap anyway now.
Yeah, I know. Like it's amazing. Thank you. It's amazing what everyone's doing, and we just want to.
Let's hope that this chat can push us over that line.
Yes.
Brilliant.
And thank you so much for doing the interview in the first place. So,
No, it's cool. I have enormously fond memories of both Warwick and the radio station. So it's been a really cool thing. And we did back in the day. We did the sort of thing that you're doing now. And again, it was huge amounts of fun and really good to be doing something for a good cause.
Yeah. I know you studied history, Ritula.
Yeah. Carmen also studies history.
I am a historian myself as well. So I just wanted to know, how you found the history course when you were here at Warwick.
I did the Renaissance and Modern European History course, which was where you spend the term in Venice. And I have to say, I would happily stand on a rooftop and shout and do the PR. It was a brilliant course. It was absolutely fantastic. And that term in Venice was something really magical. Yeah. And again, I've got really close friends who we spent that term together and we remain really close friends. So I just think it was an amazing thing and I loved my degree. I haven't got bad words to say about it, I'm afraid. So,
that's amazing.
We had a very cool time. And in fact, my son is now at university and I tried to persuade him to come to Warwick. Of course, he didn't want to do what his mother does. But I have very, very good memories, and I think we were a lot luckier than you guys. There was less pressure in those days.
Definitely. Even the tuition fees,
like everything's just so much pressure nowadays to like do more and be more, and
because the competition is just unreal
tough
these
world
days.
out there.
Whereas I think we had a lot of fun, so we were pretty lucky actually.
Yeah.
What would you say has been your greatest challenge being a TV and radio presenter?
Gosh, it's a juggling act. It's a hard. I mean, the hours are really unpredictable and often difficult. I was asking you about who did the stuff overnight. I worked nights for a long, long time, both as a producer, so producing the Today programme, which obviously goes out in the morning, and I used to do overnight, and then as a presenter. And I used to work on the World Service, and we would be broadcasting through the night. And believe me, sounding alert and alive and doing live interviews with kind of important people in the middle of the night is a challenge. And I've worked lots of weekends. You know, it's a brilliant job, don't get me wrong. It's a real privilege. I get to meet amazing people. I've been to some amazing places. But, you know, you do give up social life. I work 3 evenings a week, every week, sometimes more. You know, that means that's time you're not spending with your friends. You're not going down the pub. You're not, you know, going to the cinema, whatever it is. So I would say that's the hardest part. I've spent a lot of time away from people I care about, but on the other hand, that means I get to do really interesting things. But it is a challenge. There are times when you think, gosh, I wish I could be there. I wish I could be at this friend's wedding, or, you know, be with a friend who's bereaved, or whatever it is, you know, when you're the person that can't be there because you've got this enormous commitment. But, you know, nothing is easy, I would say, so I'm not whinging.
It is quite fun, though, like, because we've been thinking about radio and like how to take it further and stuff like that. It's a fun thing to do, like really when you're actually in the moment and you're kind of having fun. It's so great, but I also understand that like the times and the pressures, and you never know what's coming, I guess, and never know what you're going to have to present, etc. So
but I mean, listen, you guys have a huge advantage over us, which is technology. I mean, anybody can sort of have their radio show now with podcasting and everything, and if you're sort of reasonably good with a smartphone, you can do broadcast quality stuff from the comfort of your own home. So that is the single biggest thing that's changed in my lifetime. And unfortunately, I'm a bit of a dinosaur, so I still find it kind of hard. Whereas, you know, you guys were virtually born holding a phone in your hands. So
it's very true.
You know, that is something that you should all think about and do, and don't be frightened. You know, get out there and do stuff that you care about, because actually it's that kind of innovation that drives the medium on. And now people are talking about, which sounds a bit weird, but sort of televising radio, and how do you put pictures to radio? So the concept stays the same, but you kind of add another dimension, not the same as television, but, you know, that idea that you can have the depth of conversation that people have on radio, which isn't always quite the same on telly, but you give a sort of visual dimension to it. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on.
That's quite interesting.
It is. I guess because I feel like nowadays everyone's all about the kind of multimedias, and everything needs to be, you need to see it, you need to hear it, you need to read it.
Yeah, I guess.
So I can understand why people are trying to kind of advance the radio industry, but I think there's something quite special about
it's quite
radio,
special about it just being, you know.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's very, well, the thing about radio is it's very intimate, isn't it? The medium, it's like I'm talking to you, and that idea that you're only ever talking to one person is one of the things that, you know, people say, that when you're in the studio, you should imagine that you're talking to a person and think of a friend. But it does have that quality of being very much a one-to-one, you know, you feel like you're with a friend. And the best radio, I think, is like that. It's like a good conversation.
Yeah.
Very true.
Very, very true. We try to do that sometimes. Yeah.
How much would you say your time at Raw kind of influenced and inspired you to actually go into a career in radio?
Oh, completely. I would never have done it otherwise. It was that, and the friends I made. They said to me, "Well, why not you?" I don't think I could have done it without that. I didn't really know what it was. I didn't know what radio was. I certainly didn't really know what journalism was. So I couldn't have done it without that experience. And I think that, you know, whatever you're interested in, one of the things about university is, of course, you're going to get your degree, but there are so many other opportunities there to do stuff. And it's good to get stuck in and just try stuff and work out what it is you really enjoy. Because even if it doesn't become directly part of your working life, it is something that, you know, these things can be a really big interest that you develop for the rest of your life, whether it's theatre or sport or music or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And honestly, most people don't do jobs that they think are amazing. And it's the other stuff that keeps you sane and keeps you happy. So it's good to have that passion for playing five-a-side football or playing hip hop or dancing or whatever it is. It's different things for different people, but whatever it is.
Were you a member of Raw from the very beginning, or did you join like later on in the time? Like, did you always
I'm afraid I was pretty much there from day one. And we hung out. It became it was like our little spot, and you could spend a lot of time there. And being a history student, it has to be said, I didn't have a lot of lectures. Yeah. So there was quite a lot of time that was spent hanging out. So it was nice, and everybody was we were all friends. So it was like having your own little kind of space on campus where you could chill, which sometimes it was good when you wanted to get away from your corridor or whatever, or equally if once you were living off campus it was a place where you could sort of hang out when it was too far to get back to Leamington.
Right.
Leamington, so far, it's honestly ridiculous.
The buses, I'm not sure how they were when you were here, but I don't think they've gotten any better.
No, they have not.
We used to hitch, and I don't recommend you do that now, speaking as a parent. We used to hitch rides into Leamington in and out, and the sort of thing, if my kids told me they were doing it now, I'd be horrified. But we did do it then.
Were the buses like regular back then, or were they?
I don't think I ever got a bus. I also had a couple of friends who had cars. So
okay.
Lift. But otherwise, we used to hitch. There was a hitching spot on campus, and you'd
so
get lifts from staff and people who were visiting the arts centre and stuff like that. Yeah.
Can you imagine it now?
My mother would definitely have a heart attack. 100%.
I am your mother, and I'm telling you not to do it.
That's so funny. Oh god.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
One other question we wanted to ask you, because obviously being black women, wanting to go into the industry, we're wondering, as a woman of colour, do you experience any kind of difficulties or prejudices that otherwise wouldn't have been there in the industry?
It's hard to tell, isn't it? Listen, I've been really successful. A lot of people have supported me along the way.
Right.
So I can only be grateful for what I've had. I think that there are many prejudices. I think the first one has been historically as women. I think a lot of that has got huge strides forward have been made. But yeah, I think those things happen and you come up against them. I think you've just got to fight by being there for fighting for what you want and by being as good as you can be and, recognise that you're up against stuff. But I think you can't let it get on top of you because there's so many battles to fight. So I'm not saying it's all easy.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can work to your advantage as well. I think people underestimate you or they sort of patronise you and you can kind of work around that. Yes, I think it happens, but I wouldn't ever say to anyone, let it define you, and fight back and push and just demand your space and demand what you want. And like I say, I think I was probably lucky in that at times it has worked to my advantage. So for every time when it may have counted against me, I think there's probably been many more when people have thought, oh, well, which is not how anyone wants to proceed. I don't want to be given special treatment.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, there are challenges. Definitely there are challenges. But I would say don't let it stop you and just be the best you can. That's all any of us can do, really.
Literally.
So true.
Love that. I wish we could have you here so we can talk forever.
Well, you just have to imagine me, visualisation.
We'll do the whole visualisation thing right now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ritula, for talking to us. It's been amazing.